Innovative
solutions. Can you imagine how much genius and focus it took to turn a music player into a handheld computer phone, GPS, remote control for everything in life in just 5 years? Seriously.
Innovative
Solutions.
The more you know, the less you fear.
Revolutionize business models and make old ones obsolete or not. One thing is for certain, today we compete on service, price or innovation, and the expectations and metrics around each are tighter than ever.
What's working, what's not, who's competent, who's not.
And that's all about how do you deal with failure.
Opened more stuff. That's what economists call growth.
Innovative
Solutions.
Prepared and presented by Francisco Porras Jr. Weekdays here on the Nation Station.
Innovative
Solutions.
John F. Kennedy once said that the word crisis in Chinese is composed of two characters, one representing danger, the other is opportunity. It's a choice to everybody. It's happening today. The emerging COVID-19 crisis had a severe impact on all aspects of development in society. The attention is paid to the role of digital technology, changing the contact intensity of the industry, enhancing the resilience of the value chain, offering solutions to the challenging social distancing, and fostering new drivers of economic growth for post-pandemic economic recovery. A recent study on how to solve this problem is the Oman Chamber of Commerce and Investment Chairman in Economic Studies at the Sultan Qaboos University. It's an honor and a privilege to have with us Dr. Ashraf Mishrif. Doc, welcome to the program.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be with you.
How did you get involved with this research?
One of our objectives of the research chair is to conduct an empirical investigation on major aspects that impact on economic development in the Sultanate of Oman.
Mm-hmm.
One of the greatest challenge we are facing since the establishment of the research chair April 2019 is the outbreak of COVID-19, which impacted significantly on the global economy, including the Omani economy. Was quite severe at the beginning because the government, as most other governments, were taken by surprise with the scale and the magnitude of the crisis, of the public health crisis. Therefore, we tried to engage in supporting the government and supporting policymakers to understand the economic impact of COVID-19. I myself, as a research chair, and my team tried to develop an understanding of the crisis, looking at the epidemiological studies that covered this topic in various parts of the world, and we tried to come up with understanding on how this will impact on the Omani economy. We're lucky to receive a grant from the Ministry of Higher Education. Started our proposal about a year and a half ago. Research grant was very helpful in enabling us to cover a number of areas that impact on the economy, including transportation, logistics, supply chain, industry, manufacturing, tourism, and financial sector. All these aspects have had affected in many ways by the crisis. We spent about 12 months conducting the research, looking at various economic sectors, and came up with some recommendations and presented our findings to the Ministry of Higher Education, and we disseminated this with major stakeholders here in the Sultanate.
Do you expect the pandemic to increase inclusion of people in the financial system? Is the government seeing an upward trends here in the use of as you said, digital financial services or digital technology?
One of the major challenges of the crisis is the shift from traditional way of operating to a more advanced level of communicating and conducting business. This applied firstly to the education sector, and we moved most of our activities online, and we had 3 semesters conducting most of our work online. So this was direct impact. We were taken, of course, by surprise to make such shift. But the ability of the education sector to adapt and to develop was much greater than other sectors, especially SMEs and micro companies. During the crisis, is the ability and the capacity of many companies to move towards digitalization of activities, including operation, including communication, even the administration and management of companies has shifted to online and shifted to towards working from distance. Many of people worked from home. Some of them worked from offices, and some combined between home and office. So there is a tendency today towards digitalization and engaging in the fourth industrial revolution's tools and mechanisms.
So how significant is the body of work at the current time?
It's quite significant in many ways. One, we need to understand that we live in a turbulent world. We can expect changes in the economic financial system anytime. We can expect a crisis in public health at any time. The climate change is an alarming factor for us, and the impact of this can be harsh on us. So we have to be prepared. We have to be able to adapt quickly and respond to such a crisis at a very short base of time. Therefore, we need really to comprehend and to understand and to adapt to the technological methods of communicating and operating, not only in sectors such as logistics and transportation, but in manufacturing, in airline, in conducting business across all economic sectors. The second is companies will have ability to adapt and change to current situation in the post-COVID-19, where the type of work, the methods of operation, and the type of skills required in the labor market will be significantly different from the pre-COVID-19. Companies are moving almost as rapidly as possible towards digitalization, and therefore the labor force will have to catch up very quickly to comprehend and to use this skills. Skills is very important now to consider in light of the use of big data, artificial intelligence, and Internet of Things. All these skills are becoming urgently needed now in the post-COVID-19.
Do you think the growth and innovation could address this emergency?
What we see today, a slow recovery in terms of economic growth, but the world is catching up in terms of economic development. A lot of government has made vaccination compulsory, and the speed by which different vaccines have been developed and distributed globally is helping many governments, particularly big economies such as the United States, China, to recover quickly, and this will actually help the global economy to grow faster than we expect in the next year or two. Another important factor is that innovation has become the new norm now, moving towards innovation at education sector with the introduction of entrepreneurship programs across many universities around the world. Companies, entrepreneurs, small companies, and companies that depends on high tech and knowledge have become in demand, and they're growing much faster than traditional SMEs. And this other thing is receiving attention from governments, with many governments are devoting financial assistance to SMEs and entrepreneurs who have projects on on innovation and entrepreneurial activities. The issue of innovation now is becoming a hot topic. Every government and policy maker is talking about innovation now, but the question is, which way should we go? Which way should we support? And in what way should we support? How we support these companies, and whether the financial assistance will be sufficient to enable these companies and universities to come up with a new form of innovation, new form of technology, new forms of technological advancements that will serve humanity and serve the well-being of mankind.
Okay. Who are the collaborators for this research work, Doc?
We have a number of collaborators were engaged with us during the conduct at the university level. The Humanities Research Center, where I am based, collaborated with the Omani Study Center, and Dr. Ahmed Rabani was a member of our research team. We collaborated with the Medical Research Center, and Dr. Khalid Rasadi was one of the people who were interested in our research. We collaborated with one of our colleagues at the University of Birmingham in the UK, and he provided some advice and some insights at the beginning of the proposal, and collaborating with the ministries in the Sultanate of Oman who have concern and who are interested in our research project. The main for this, I think, the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation, and Ministry of Economy, Ministry of Commerce, Industry and Investment Promotion are following closely our research and the findings of the study.
We're going to be back for a bit and continue our discussion in just a while.
Innovative
Solutions. Can you imagine how much genius and focus it took to turn a music player into a handheld computer phone, GPS remote control for everything in life in just 5 years? Seriously.
Innovative
Solutions.
The more you know, the less you fear.
Revolutionize business models and make old ones obsolete or not. One thing is for certain, today we compete on service, price or innovation, and the expectations and metrics around each are tighter than ever.
What's working, what's not, who's competent, who's not.
And that's all about how do you deal with failure.
Open more stuff. That's what economists call growth.
Innovative
Solutions.
Prepared and presented by Francisco Porras Jr. Weekdays here on the Nation Station.
Innovative
Solutions.
Specifically, what do you aim to accomplish with this research, Doc?
We are working on the publication first, and we collected a significant amount of data. We're hoping to analyze this and disseminate this through peer-reviewed journals. We're working on that will illustrate policy and business implication of COVID-19 on in the Sultanate of Oman, and we also try to develop small reports to create awareness and to inform policymakers of the economic impact of COVID-19 in Oman. We already developed a report, and we disseminated it to a number of a number of ministries here in the Sultanate, hoping that they will benefit from the study and the findings of our research.
How would you state your study results here, Doc, in a nutshell?
Findings, I can summarize them in 2 or 3 points. The first one is that the greatest loser of the COVID-19 impact was SMEs, small and medium-sized industries.
Yeah.
This is the section of the economies that have suffered tremendously. They lost financially, operationally, and in terms of human capacity. Many of the SMEs, particularly the small companies and the micro companies, closed down during the pandemic. Many of them could not actually recover and come back to the market. One of the important things now for the government is to devote as much support as possible to SMEs. Why we consider this as important is they represent almost 99% of the total number of companies that are operating in the market. So they need a substantial amount of financial, technical, different kind of subsidies and supports that will enable them to recover and come back to the pre-COVID-19 operation.
Okay.
The second is that we need really to diversify our economy and move away from the heavy dependency on the oil and gas sector. We need to push further the investment in manufacturing, agriculture, fisheries, and we need to support non-economic sectors in order to increase their share in GDP. And I think more attention needs to be given to the manufacturing sector in particular in order to be able to meet the demand of the local market at the time of such a crisis as COVID-19. The third one is that we need to have an alternative plans for meeting such a crisis or similar crisis in the future. So an alternative policy options needs to be put in place to deal effectively with similar crises at the time of natural disaster or man-made disaster. So we need to be well prepared and in order to avoid the economic financial costs that we have lost during COVID-19.
What recommendations do you have as an outcome for this research?
I think one of the most important recommendations is that there is a need to move very fast towards investing in advanced technology. We need to invest heavily in digitalization of the economy, and we need to invest in knowledge creation and knowledge development in order to be able to move faster towards entering and engaging directly in the fourth industrial revolution. I think this is the main message, or the economy cannot be run as business as usual anymore, and we need to have a different characteristics, different structure of our economy, and if we are going to engage in Industry 4.
As you said, merging technologies, especially automation and digitalization, will be an effective driver of the post-coronavirus global economy recovery in order to reduce inequality and promote decent jobs right here in this outlet for all. We will be some kind of a more challenging that we face right now. If we fail to do so, we will not achieve the Sustainable Development Goals by 2030.
Achieving Sustainable Development Goal is a challenge. We need to focus on human development. We need to focus on the well-being of society. And this cannot happen easily without investing heavily in advanced technology, knowledge creation, and innovation. A lot of work a lot of coordination has to be made among all different layers of government in order to achieve this. The government in itself cannot do that. It needs to engage non-governmental organizations, civil society. The private sector has to take a major lead and a major role in post-COVID-19. It has the capacity, it has the will, adaptability, and accessibility to finance and technology, and they need to play a greater role in achieving sustainable development goals. We also need to engage the public and get the public engaged. Focus on and creating awareness among the public and among citizens in order to understand the need for collaboration among all stakeholders in order to achieve sustainable development goals by 2030. We need also to learn from our failure to achieve the Millennium Development Goals in the past 20 years to have a more inclusive approach to development. I would like to thank Sultan Qaboos University for giving us the opportunity to conduct this research. My gratitude goes to the Ministry of Higher Education, Research and Innovation for supporting us financially. Our great thanks to Oman Chamber of Commerce and Industry for supporting the research chair and providing us with the financial technical assistance and all the organizations and ministries, companies who provided us with the data and allowed us to conduct interviews and to get raw data, primary data that will help us to understand the economic impact of COVID-19 on them. Thanks to my research team who have done great amount of work, and without them, this couldn't have been made. I'm proud of my research team, proud of my university and my sponsors, and thanks again to the Ministry of Higher Education for supporting us.
Okay, so what's next for you now, Doc?
Conducting a number of research projects, research chair for economic studies. We're working on drafting the work for publication, and we will be submitting soon a number of peer-reviewed articles for publications soon. We hope to complete the book on that's coming out of the project will come in 2022. Moving now towards a different level of research to look at global trade, how it impacts on the economy and how we can recover in terms of import and export. And therefore, we have 3 or 4 studies now relating to the impact of COVID in post-recovery. One is to look at the competitiveness of Omani ports and how this can enhance their operations and their capacities in post-COVID. We have another one is to look at different kind of investment opportunities for capital investment in post-COVID-19. So we try to identify number of investment and economic opportunities for companies and for corporations. So creating new opportunities for the business community is a major task for us. And we're doing this across the Sultanate of Oman.
The economic impacts of COVID-19 pandemic are said to be a huge problem for the country and other countries in the region, as oversupply on the world energy markets has come up against muted demands in the wake of the stay-at-home guidelines, as Doc told us earlier. For workers, businesses worldwide and here in the Sultanate, Digital transformation of existing industries and production systems will be a popular choice for companies in both the manufacturing and service industries in dealing with the economic crisis caused by the pandemic. Thank you very much, sir, for being here. It's an honor and a great opportunity of having you in this program. All the best and more success to your research, Doc, in the future, and especially your upcoming book, which will be, is it in Arabic or in English?
No, in English.
In English, okay.
It's a pleasure to be with you, and thanks again for hosting me.
That's the Oman Chamber of Commerce and Investment Chairman in Economic Studies at the Sultan Qaboos University, Dr. Ashraf Mishrif, for Innovative Solutions. I'm Frank. Thanks for listening.
Innovative
Solutions. Can you imagine how much genius and focus it took to turn a music player into a handheld computer phone, GPS remote control for everything in life in just 5 years? Seriously.
Innovative
Solutions.
The more you know, the less you fear.
Revolutionize business models and make old ones obsolete or not. One thing is for certain, today we compete on service, price or innovation, and the expectations and metrics around each are tighter than ever.
What's working, what's not, who's competent, who's not.
And that's all about how do you deal with failure.
Open more stuff. That's what economists call growth.
Innovative
Solutions.
Prepared and presented by Francisco Porras Jr. Weekdays here on the Nation Station.
Innovative
Solutions.